MT-LXX Resources. This podcast covers resources available in Accordance Bible software. This episode requires an intermediate knowledge of Accordance and a bit of Greek and Hebrew. Serious students of the Bible know the value of understanding its original languages. That's Greek, Hebrew, and a bit of Aramaic at a minimum. Accordance's MT-LXX resources assist our users in locating the equivalent words between the Hebrew Masoretic text and the Greek Septuagint. Here's how. The MT-LXX resource is the work of a team led by Emmanuel Tove, revised by Frank Pollock. Accordance offers two different versions of this work. The first, the Interlinear, offers only the ability to use it in Accordance's Interlinear View. The second, the Parallel, is the full work. It offers additional advantages, which we will cover in a moment. Accordance also offers an upgrade from the older version of the MT-LXX and an upgrade path from the Interlinear to the Parallel. We can view either of the MT-LXX resources in Accordance's Interlinear. However, the Parallel offers three additional features. We can add MT-LXX equivalents to Search Analytics, open and search any of its 8 data fields directly, and read the editor's comments and see reconstruction. The MT-LXX Interlinear. This button switches a Bible back and forth between normal and interlinear views. It only appears when the interlinear view is possible, which means that the main Bible must be tagged, either with key numbers or morphological information. The tagging information is what makes the interlinear view possible. The Interlinear button allows us to customize the appearance of our interlinears. Saved interlinears appear at the top. We provided a few for you just to get started. We can also select items on the menu and create our own interlinears. If we've purchased a morphologically tagged text or syntax, that grammatical tagging data appears next. After that, the menu lists all our key number tagged Bibles, then all our tagged original language Bibles. Finally, we have an opportunity to save and manage our choices as custom interlinears, which we can then add to the top of the menu. Open a Greek or Hebrew tagged Bible and you'll notice one additional choice in the interlinear menu, at least if you own either of the MT-LXX resources. All that is required for this feature is the interlinear database. As you can see, underneath each word of the Hebrew Masoretic text is the equivalent Greek word from the Septuagint. The same database also works in reverse with the Greek Septuagint, showing the equivalent Hebrew word from the Masoretic text. The MT-LXX Parallel Database. Anything other than the interlinear requires the MT-LXX Parallel Database, which is the resource we see here. Before we discuss searching it, let's take a look at the resource itself. It's arranged logically, though the labels for its various parts are not real intuitive. In this resource, each verse is its own article. The article is then divided into the entry, the verse reference, and a number of paragraphs, each with the equivalent Hebrew and Greek words on a single line. The Hebrew Masoretic text is on the left, the Greek Septuagint on the right. The Hebrew words are arranged in the order in which they appear in the verse, the Septuagint's by the Hebrew word each translates. We can navigate to a specific verse using the table of contents, or by typing a verse reference into the Go-To box. Alternately, we can search using the search entry box using any of this resource's 8 different data fields. This resource also offers us 3 different ways to refine our searches. We can choose exact or flex searches, toggle the search scope between articles and paragraphs. Remember, in this resource, that's a choice between verses and equivalent words, and even add an additional field and search it simultaneously. I suggest customizing this tool in 2 ways. First, it's easiest to view search results by showing the text as paragraphs and adding titles. It saves a lot of vertical space, which means we can see more hits in the same amount of space. Want to see the hit words in context? That's not a problem. Customize the display by setting the hypertext text to the Hebrew Bible and the alternate text to the Septuagint, or vice versa. assuming your Greek and Hebrew are strong enough not to need an English translation. Make these settings the default. Here's why. Hover the cursor over the title, the verse reference, and the Hebrew Masoretic text appears in Instant Details. Press the Command or Control key and it switches to the Greek Septuagint. Now that we've seen the resource and customized it, let's take a look at a couple of different ways we can use it. We search this resource like we would any other, choosing the appropriate data field and entering the search criterion. For example, let's choose Hebrew and search for Rosh. Remember, we're searching for this exact string of characters, not the lexeme and all forms derived from it. This search found 541 hits, but we can't easily see them. Now, we could use the navigation arrows to move from hit to hit, but that's really inefficient. Instead, let's switch the display to paragraphs and add titles, as I suggested earlier. The display will then look like this. The previous search works well when we want to find all the places a specific Greek or Hebrew word appears in the MT-LXX. But what if we only want to find the places where the Hebrew word is translated by a specific Greek one? First, we'll need to shift the search scope from article to paragraph. Article would be fine if we just wanted verses where both words appeared in the respective texts. Since we're looking for places where a Hebrew word is translated by a specific Greek word, we'll need to limit the search scope to paragraphs. Next, we'll need to add a Greek data field. Notice that we've linked the fields with an AND command, which means we will be searching for paragraphs that have both the Hebrew Rosh and the Greek, well, let's choose Kephale. We'll substitute the asterisk wildcard for the noon so we can pick up the word in all cases. Here's the search, and here are the results. Before we move on, I want to point out that the MT-LXX includes helpful introductory matter, which we can access by scrolling to the top. This includes an explanation of the symbols used throughout the resource and a list of annotations and various manuscripts for Ben Sira. Original language searches in the MT-LXX. Amplifying is probably the easiest way to access the MT-LXX parallel from an original language text. Select the word, then click on Amplify in the toolbar and find the resource. It's in the Library Semitics folder unless we've chosen to move it elsewhere. A click searches this tool for the lexeme form. Remember, that's just the lexeme, not all forms derived from it. An Option or Alt click searches for the inflected form. If this is a resource we think we'll access regularly, we should consider dragging the MT-LXX cover from the library and dropping it into the toolbar. That way we won't have to sort through cascading menus every time we want to access it. We just select the text and click the button. Since the MT-LXX is a tool, not a tagged text, it is not possible to search directly for all the forms derived from the lexeme. Instead, we must search one of the texts, then merge the result with the MT-LXX. Here's an example. This is a root search for kabod, a common Hebrew root meaning glory, honor, even heavy. As you can see from the analysis, this root appears 382 times in 90 different forms in the Hebrew Bible. Now, we'll open the MT-LXX and merge the search. Presto! We've just searched the MT-LXX for every word derived from the root kabod. Now let's take it one step further. Mega appears here as a translation. Let's search the Septuagint for every time the root of that word appears, then combine the merges from both searches. First, we open the Septuagint and search for the word megas. Now we'll combine the two with an and another merge command. A form of megas translates a form of kabod 4 times. Note that we could have used the not command instead, and found all the places kabod was translated by some other word. Let's review those 4 steps one more time. To find all MT-LXX equivalents for all forms of a word, first, search the Hebrew Bible for a lexeme or root. Next, search the MT-LXX parallel using merge, the Hebrew Bible. Third, search the Greek Septuagint for the lexeme or root. And fourth, search the MT-LXX parallel using and merge Greek Septuagint. The final search will look like this. Merge Hebrew Bible, Biblica Hebraica, tagged, and Merge Ralph Septuagint, tagged. It is also possible to show MT-LXX equivalents in search analytics. This also requires the MT-LXX parallel. Let's switch searches. Here, I just searched the Hebrew Bible for bara, to create, then opened an Analysis tab. As you can see, I originally sorted the hits by lexeme, then by stem. Now, let's change the analysis display. We can add the MT-LXX equivalents by dragging either of these items into the column. Let's keep it simple and choose the MT-LXX lexeme. Here are the results, which I've arranged in 2 zones in order to display all the data at once. As you can probably see, the results are helpful but not 100% accurate. Poieo, to make, and katidzo, to create, both make sense. However, the Greek theos, God, is not the equivalent of the Hebrew bara, to create. This sort of inconsistency happens regularly when trying for word comparisons of 2 different languages with very different word orders, and the interlinear view can compound such issues. Switching to the interlinear view can be a help, as we can then scroll through the verses until we find the exact hit. Seeing it in context may help sort out the issue, especially if we open the full version of the MT-LXX, the parallel, in a parallel pane. Checking issues is one of the reasons why the parallel is required for this feature. We can then check any footnotes like so and so. In this case, even after reading them, I'm still a bit confused by this issue. So I right-clicked and used Report a Correction to send the issue to Accordance for consideration. Then I started thinking that perhaps a side-by-side comparison of the Hebrew Masoretic text and the Greek Septuagint would help. It did. This screenshot shows both texts and English translations of each. Notice that in the Septuagint, the 2 questions at the beginning of the verse are flipped. No wonder the interlinear had trouble sorting it out. We can also run a statistical analysis on which Greek words are more likely to translate specific Hebrew words. We do that by displaying the search data from the MT-LXX in a pie chart, a bar chart, or an analysis graph. Each of these perspectives offers us valuable insights into the data. This statistical analysis, by the way, is only available when first searching the Hebrew Masoretic text or Greek Septuagint, then using the MT-LXX. We cannot do it when searching the MT-LXX directly. Researching relationships between Hebrew and Greek is challenging, but Accordance makes it much easier and far more efficient. The MT-LXX is a particular treasure. We are grateful to Emmanuel Tove, Frank Pollock, and their entire team for their work, and for being able to offer this resource in Accordance to our customers. This has been Dr. J for Accordance Bible Software. Thank you for watching this episode of Lighting the Lamp.